A silly boy thief has been locked in an attempted stolen car, and the owner is going full-blown Hannibal Lecter on him. Now he must find a way to escape this torture chamber on wheels. Despite all his hostility, he's still just a rat in an SUV. In this psychological thriller, Locked. Hello there, you loose units, and welcome back to another episode of Spicy Boy Reviews. I'm, of course, your host, Andrew Iles. That's right, Locked, directed by David Yarovesky, who's known for directing the What If Superman Was a Homicidal Child film, Brightburn. We meet our protagonist, Eddie, who is desperate to get his hands on around about roughly $500 dues, so that he can pay for the repairs on his van so he can go back to work as a delivery driver. However, he has absolutely no money and no one is willing to help him. We also learn that he is a deadbeat dad, unable to pay for child support for the last 2 years, because he can't even afford to support himself. And his ex-baby mama is having none of it! However, despite all this, his daughter still loves him, even though he constantly disappoints her. He's always missing out from picking her up at school and having some quality time, because instead he's constantly hustling for money. In a moment of desperation, Eddie stumbles upon a ridiculously expensive blacked-out foreign SUV in a vacant lot, and discovers that it is in fact unlocked. So he gets into the car, hoping to steal something so he can resell it, which of course can only go well. It's not long before Eddie learns that he can't escape the inside of this vehicle. There's no Wi-Fi inside, there's no phone service, and also discovers the hard way that the inside the car is soundproof and bulletproof. Eddie obviously didn't notice that the emblem of the car, the branding if you will, is Lady Justice on a shield. As subtle as a sledgehammer. All of a sudden the car receives a call, and Eddie learns that it is in fact the owner, Dr. William. Dr. William informs Eddie that this is the 7th time his car has been broken into, and each time the police or the courts have done nothing about it. It's fair to say that Dr. William has had a gutful of this crime wave, and he's having none of it! Dr. William is cold, calculated, and is quick to show Eddie that the inside of this car is a modified torture chamber. The seats are electrified. It's electrified! Cameras are planted all over the interior, and the vehicle is completely remotely operated. We then get 1 hour and a half of a psychological thriller. It's a battle between wits, between a hard-working yet rich and privileged man with some understandable points of view up against a down-and-out, poverty-stricken gentleman who is absolutely desperate, living from paycheck to paycheck, who has some points of view of his own. The film is clearly giving you both sides of the story. It's a battle between the haves and the have-nots. However, it does play with a morality tale that, as desperate as times can be, is crime really the answer? Well, Dr. Old Willy Boy is saying no, and has a psychopathic good time in torturing this potential criminal. The timing of this film is super ironic, especially if you're living in Melbourne, Australia. We have the highest youth crime rate on record right now. We're talking about home invasions, car theft, and fatal injuries involving pointy metal things, and all committed by repeat offenders as they see no consequences for their actions. Reports of some offenders getting let out after 40 times due to the same offence. I am not joking, that is absolutely true. And due to the desperate outcry of our public, the government are finally re-looking at our bail laws. For the longest time, our government was like, oh, we'll look into it when we have time, but there's really not much we can do about it, blah, 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 blah. But it took a local radio show in this country having a massive petition that was signed by so many people, publicly calling out the government on radio, along with communities taking matters into their own hands, banding together with Neighbourhood Watch and using some utensils of their own to defend their homes. If you're interested in looking into this, there is some CCTV footage online that these Neighbourhood Watch people have released. Anyway, all that being said, all of a sudden, there were new bail laws passed. Funny how quick Parliament acts when they're pushed up against a wall by the public. It's almost like they've forgotten that at the end of the day, they actually work for us, you know, the people. Anyway, that being said, I couldn't help but think about this while watching the movie, because people in this country are absolutely fed up with our crime rate and taking matters into their own hands. Although the character of Dr. Williams takes it a little bit too far and into some really dark territory. Anthony Hopkins is having a devilishly good time with this. He elevates everything he is in, and you can tell he's having a blast of a time playing a psychopath, which he does so bloody well. And 95% of his performance is just his voice. That's some bloody good acting. And of course, Bill Skarsgård shows again he throws himself into every role and commits 100%. He plays desperate so convincingly. This is a great setup for a psychological thriller. You have one very small location, and the dialogue between the two characters is a battle of wits, and the acting keeps you engaged the entire time. It's a very tight script that's executed by two absolute professional actors. And the movie also looks and feels both gritty and clean, oddly enough, at the same time. I think this film was excellently executed. Definitely worth your time. Anyway, guys, this is my cheeky little review of Locked. Right down below if you've seen it. What are your thoughts on it? But more importantly, what is your favourite lockdown psychological thriller? And of course, if you made it this far into the episode, please give me a thumbs up, because your love and support keeps me going, because I just love movies, and I assume you do as well. And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe icon, because I give it an episode weekly. And I'll see you back here next week for the next review, but until then, stay spooky, kids.